Just a reminder while you're here, don't forget to check out the descriptions of my videos. I have things like 15% off flashlights at Neil's Gadgets, 15% off Lex Custom International scales for Hogues, Benchmades, and Microtechs, and a whole bunch of other cool stuff and product information. If you do choose to use those links, which you don't have to, it really does help out my channel. It can save you some money, and it helps me bring you cool content like this. Welcome back to the channel. Chalupa is helping me introduce today. Oh, he's having a good time. Today is a very special day. We're talking about something really cool, which is the Kunwu S Tao. That is this baby right here. It is a titanium frame lock. It is in Vanax. It has a sheep's foot blade. There's been a lot of buzz on the internet about this knife lately. I'm going to test it, and I'm going to tell you what I think of this knife. So first of all, testing, right? This is not a full flat grind, but it is a high flat grind, and so it does slice pretty well. I can slice vegetables no problem with this knife. You can see it's not binding up in the onion. I can make pretty thin slices with not any trouble at all. So it is a very slicey blade shape. Rope, because you have this flat surface, a lot of flat real estate, it goes through rope very easily. I mean, this is, again, pretty thick, tough, large nylon rope, and it's just effortless through that. Much better than a lot of knives that are similar. Same thing carving wood. It bites in really well. I mean, you can see I took off. Here's the wood before I cut it. And we just check out how big of chunks I'm taking out of that thing without much effort at all. It has Damascus collars here. Just a beautiful little knife. One area where it doesn't do as good is opening packages, because this sheep's foot blade is curved so much of a radius that it doesn't get into tape very well. So it's kind of hard to get in and slice to open packages with. That sheep's foot blade does get in the way just a little bit, where you can see I have to be a lot more deliberate about getting in there than I would with something a little pointier. Obviously, one of the standout features of this knife is the Vanax blade. For those of you who don't know much about Vanax, it is extremely corrosion resistant. You can use this stuff in salt water. You can get it all wet. It doesn't matter. It will not rust. It's pretty much as rust resistant, from what I understand, as LC200N, which is to say completely rust proof. It will not rust. So it's great if you live in a marine environment where you're around water or something like that. This is a bearing flipper, so it's going to require a bit more maintenance than something like the Spyderco Salt series, which is all running on washers. But overall, worth it, because the Vanax steel, and I can confirm this with my testing, retains its edge a lot longer than LC200N or H1 or anything like that. This did 450 cuts exactly in my edge retention test. Now that's to failure. I've done some knives that have done 450 plus and they were still sharp. This one was not still sharp after 450 cuts, but that's still excellent edge retention and way better than anything else that is this rust resistant. I think LC200N did like 175. H1 I think was in the 100 cuts range. So that tells you that this is just far, far better at retaining its edge, which makes it a better carry knife. Comparable knives out there, there's really not much that's comparable. This is about the only other knife that I was able to get my hands on easily for comparison, which is an Indianized EDZ. Similar profile, similar idea, titanium sheep's foot style blade. The EDZ has a much shorter cutting surface, but it does have a kind of a wider, smoother handle. I found this handle to be a little bit more comfortable. mainly stick talking about this knife today. Here it is size-wise next to a bug out, so you can get an idea of size. It's a little bit bigger than something like a bug out. Here it is next to Deca, right? It's more almost in the size range of like a Griptilian or something like that. There's a 4-inch cold steel tie light. About 3.3 inches of straight cutting surface here. There it is next to the Kershaw Launch 19, which I just did a review of recently. Larger cutting surface than that. Slightly larger handle, which for me is a good thing. Let's talk about deployment. So deployment is really cool on this knife. You can finger flick it with a hole. You can regular flipper flip it. You can front flipper it. So it's very fidgetable there. As far as comfort goes, here's where I got into some areas where I didn't like this knife as much as other people on the internet have liked it. The finger choil in the front here is a little too small for me to actually wrap my finger around and get a good grip. So when I was doing repeated cutting with this knife, it actually got a little uncomfortable. My hand felt a little bit crampy from trying to grab that small area there. There's also some sharp areas on this knife. So the area right here by the frame lock has not been rounded off very well. That is a little bit pokey. The edges, are very squared. They're beveled in a way that is supposed to help your hand, but they are still kind of square. So this was not the most comfortable knife that I've ever used. The orange peel finish did okay. It was grippy enough without being aggressive or anything. So I kind of like the orange peel finish. But I was not a fan of the overall shape of this knife. The other thing that I really don't like about this knife is the wire pocket clip. These bend very easily. You can see I can just wiggle that back very easily with one finger. I don't like these. A lot of people do. I am just not a fan. I think that's underbuilding something that you're going to interact with a lot on a pocket knife, and I wish they had put a different style pocket clip on there. The other thing that I had a problem on with this knife was the frame lock. So if you can see as I push on this, that frame lock is very flexible. And as I am opening and closing the knife, I can feel that flex underneath my thumb. And I don't find that particularly reassuring. I don't really like that part about this knife. This knife feels underbuilt to me, despite the fact that it is not particularly light. I'll put up some numbers on the weight. But overall, this doesn't feel like $300 worth of knife to me. It feels like about $150 worth of knife with a really nice blade. So I don't like this as much as the rest of the internet seems to. It's very cool. I love the deployment options. I love the flipper. I love the Vanax blade. I'm even okay with the sheep's foot style blade, but I don't think this is actually going to be a knife that I end up keeping because it wasn't enough for me to like to live with it. I can't live with the flaws based on the advantages that this knife gives me. So there are other knives. Like I said, the Indiana EDZ, this one is going to get reviewed soon. I will see if I like this one better long term. It does have some other things where it has addressed some of the issues with this knife. The button lock on this knife, very sturdy, sturdier than a normal button lock, which I'll get into in the review. The pocket clip is much better, and the point is pointier. So I think that this knife is probably going to not get my seal of approval, even though there's nothing necessarily wrong with it. I just don't feel like it gives you what I would expect from this level of expense and this level of investment in a knife. So hope that review is helpful. Have a knife day and enjoy all of your adventures.